This is our time at the end of the evening to ask questions. Anything that arises in your small group discussions or anything that just arises in your own inquisitive brain. And here we go. Fire away.
Some friends here wanted to know if in your Old Testament class, whether the question of how many times Yahweh was used in the Old Testament, whether you accepted 6,000 as an acceptable answer, or if it had to be 6,804, whatever number you shared with us.
6,828. Yes, so you actually just failed the class.
Okay.
No, we love you. We love you. What else you got going?
So the other question or comment is, we think there's a third small stuff person in Exodus chapter 2 that was omitted.
Oh, in the whole chapter or the first 10 verses? No,
in the first 10 verses. Because we talk about Moses' mother and his sister, but Pharaoh's daughter, who uncovers him, recognizes him as a Hebrew child. Why, as the daughter of a Pharaoh, wouldn't she have had somebody kill him?
Right. No, our group talked about that as well. We actually then ended up with 5 women, right? Shiphrah, Puah, Miriam, Jochebed, and then Pharaoh's daughter. And at least in our group, led by the infamous Pastor Steve Wheeler, came to this stunning conclusion that Pharaoh's daughter then is an operative for the enemy, unbeknownst to Pharaoh, right? Yeah, so I think that's good. So we actually have 5 women, 4 of which are named. And when you think about the resurrection of Jesus, the first proclaimer of the gospel is a woman who had 7 demons cast out of her, Mary Magdalene, right? Which kind of fits within the whole biblical story. That again, women are the people who actually stand with Jesus on Good Friday, right, under the cross. And women are the ones who believe in the message. Luke tells us in Luke chapter 24 about verse 11 that when they come back, the women announce the resurrection of Jesus, and the men say, oh, it's nonsense. Well, no, they're just too emotional. No, you're blockheaded and thick-skulled. You men are. Okay, so there, I said it publicly. Yeah. So no, thank you very much. It's a great. So 5 women come to the rescue of God's people. Hi.
Hi, Dr. Lessing. Our group was wondering about the life of Hebrew women. Now we have the 2 midwives and the mom and the sister. They were just doing things all day, just taking care of it. Did they have a house? Did they take care of that? Were they considered slaves? Did they have to make bricks?
Right, those are all great questions, and we really don't have answers to.
Well, you do.
Yeah, no. Not at all. But, no, we don't know. We don't know. But as long as we're talking about women, see, and big things with small stuff, it's wonderful to point out that some people would say the most important verse in the Bible is... And some Old Testament scholars, one of maybe who you know, Walter Brueggemann, you probably, because I know you've done graduate work in the Old Testament, Walter Brueggemann, who would be one of the foremost Old Testament scholars in the last 200 years, says that Genesis 11:30 is the most important verse in the Bible because God starts the whole Abrahamic missionary movement to be a blessing, right, with Sarah, who was barren. Big things with small stuff. So Sarah's barren, Rebecca's barren, Rachel's barren, all 3 matriarchs, in different points in their lives, can't have children, and yet that's how God works through Genesis. So when we get to Exodus, we've got more women, right, who don't have a lot of political strength, but God uses them. Yeah. Augustus Toplady famously said, nothing in my hand I bring, simply to thy cross I cling. Yeah. So that's what you did. Everyone just noticed what I did. I had no answer for her, but I still sounded like I had some kind of answer. Yeah. You do what you can do. Yes, Pastor Wheeler.
This is more for you just to kind of elaborate it on. I thought one of the most interesting questions in tonight's study was number 2 under the warm-up. Are there chapters in your story that still need to be exposed to God's story? And we talked at length in our group about that. Can you kind of explain to the group a little bit maybe what we talked about and how that can be such a powerful thing where God's story intersects with ours, and what happens when people don't allow that story to intersect?
Right. The point being that I'm just speaking about myself, and my sense is that you all have shameful stories, stuff you would rather not think about, talk about, deal with, and those stories that stay in the dark will always come back to get you, right? We think we can ignore these stories, but we really can't. They always kind of manifest themselves in dysfunction in our lives. So the Bible invites us to be very open and honest, right? Think about St. Paul, in Romans chapter 7. At the end of Romans, he says, what a wretched man I am. Who will rescue me from this body of death? And he's saying that as a believer, right? I am, not I was. Right? Paul said, well, I used to be a wretched man. No, Romans 7:24, what a wretched man I am. I am. So the Bible invites us to be honest and real. We were talking in our group, you have to be honest and real with trusted people, right? But we want to find a group or someone we can tell our darkest stories to, because that gets them into the light, and then they intersect with God's story. Then there can be redemption and healing. As long as I keep it private, it just gets infected and like cancerous, and it just kind of kills. It's interesting, and I'll just kind of conclude with this, that Israel tells us their story, right? I mean, think about it. Let's tell us your story, or let us tell you our story. And it's a story of slavery and darkness and death. And so the Bible is very open and honest. St. Paul, again, any number of times tells his story, especially in 2 Corinthians. At one point, chapter 1, verses 9 and 10, he said, I despaired of life itself. That's pretty dark. And he tells who? The Corinthians, who were not his favorite congregation, by the way. This was like the preacher-killer congregation. But Paul's very honest. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, he says, we delighted not only to share the gospel, but our lives as well. Yeah, so we want to share our stories. Yeah. And then also in our group, I think Althena back there said that, I forget who it was, but you had a lot of good insights. It might have been yours, but when we tell people our stories, then that breaks down walls. Oh, you mean you're a Christian? You got all kinds of hang-ups? Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm not just kind of saying that. Okay, so we'll conclude this then tonight.